This is my video on the controversial squirrel build that I play in Northgard. I'll be offering commentary throughout the video, but not all throughout. I don't exactly have 40 minutes of commentary in me. I was considering skipping between parts of the video in order to deliver it to you more quickly, but since this can be used as a reference for any aspiring Northgard player, I didn't want to skip basic execution. In addition, I wanted to create this video in a somewhat timely manner as well. Figuring out and executing good transitions would significantly lengthen the time it took to create it. Now, this is a video focused on execution. As for the math involved, check out the video description. In the future, I'll be looking into doing more videos talking about the math and optimization of builds in the game, but this build is an end result of stacking information on information. And even though the video is long, it's not long enough to build an understanding of the economy in the game from the ground level up. Now, on to talking about the game. You should start the game the standard way, by first starting with a scout den to scout the adjacent provinces. We're trying to save food here, so we don't want to place an early woodcutter or anything, keeping our food for colonization. As soon as I see the wall rock, I colonize it. This is so that you can place the house in the outside provinces. We don't want to clog shipyards if we plan to place any later. This start is a lot better now that we have the shipwreck. It's already a very good start, so this is amongst one of the better starts you can have. Even though I know this is an amazing start, it ends up being not so great later, as the things I find in the outer provinces will end up not being so good for me. Once we colonize this province, we want to place the stove. It's really effective to colonize this first too because it's especially cheap and they give additional ingredients for very little effort. But the stove is a very powerful building, so once you have those two colonizations down, you want to start working on the stove. Ideally, I wish I built the woodcutter a little bit faster. Our goal is to try and get 50 wood for the barracks so that we can get our war chef as fast as humanly possible. And the wolf comes in. I do force build with the builder. It's nowhere near as effective compared to other games like Warcraft or Age of Empires, but it is better than having your villager walk over to the wolf and then do nothing because the wolf dies first. Of course, we grab Kitchen Nightmare, get our war chef, and start clearing out the wolves. Afterwards, we can start working on meals. Note that we shouldn't actually start cooking meals until we get economics. We want to just build up our ingredient stockpile. It's not really worth cooking until we have economics. Remember the shipyard? Since I want to get wood faster, it's actually better if I stop working wood here and instead get more foragers so that I can colonize that a bit quicker. I know I should be looking around the map, but I'm a bit lazy this game because I know I'm against AI, and I also have to think about what I need to do next in order to continue to build. I don't want to screw it up and then have to start again. That would be the worst way to show off this build. We now want to head towards our cooking mastery, and for that we need wood cutting. Pretty sure we'll end up going wood cutting, colonization, recruitment into cooking mastery. That is in general, the better way to approach it. Right, our next goal is during this winter we want to scout out the tiles in our second ring. We also want to build a healing hut in order to heal our war chef so he's capable of taking out these tiles. That's quite important. You'll always want the healing hut regardless, as the amount you take down will always be beyond a war chef's abilities. Always got to make sure we don't get housed. It happens quite a lot on this build, since we do go above 16 population. You'll also see how I deal with the ingredients, as we always want to be cooking. There's very little downtime in our cooking, and we will be consistently cooking once we reach 200 fame. I decide that there is a better location for the second stove. We want more stoves whenever our happiness drops below 2 or 3. The stove is almost efficient just for the ingredients themselves, but making sure that the happiness you get off the stove is relevant is important to maintain a strong economy on Squirrel. You can't just build 3 stoves and expect it to be efficient. Yes, we want to place more stoves. The plan to get more ingredients is actually to place multiple stoves over the course of the game. All the tiles I explore here have very few ingredients in them. They have mushrooms, but mushrooms are only a useful ingredient if it's lower than your meat stockpile. It's actually one of the worst second rings that you can have on Squirrel. Yes, the ruin is sort of helpful, but for the amount that we colonize it for, we would almost rather something else. The Draugr den is exactly what we want to find. It will make our 200 fame much faster. If we didn't find a den of some description, it would take us an additional 2 to 3 months to reach 200 fame. We always want to bring our war chief to the outermost stove province. It makes them much easier to defend from wolves. I did kind of misplay there, having the war chef out of position when the wolves assaulted. He should have been working that stove pretty much as soon as I built it. That farm is not so important for the build. If you don't have a shipwreck, it is worth skipping it to make sure that you have enough food to survive the winter, that you can colonize this province, all the other things. We've got to make sure those houses are built. The farm gets built here because I have the shipwreck, and it's a useful use of the extra 80 wood. Usually, farms aren't really more efficient than stockpiling. However, if you consider maintenance as a way to use gold, and the fact that we will be building silos regardless, I think it's a worthwhile purchase. Now that we have the Draugr den, we want to be permanently keeping up venison, as it is a really powerful eco bonus for the squirrel. In essence, your eco is naturally stronger as long as you're cooking, whether it's for yourself or with an ally. If you had an ally at this point, you would also just start cooking for them as well. This build will work well as long as you have one ally that you're cooking for all the time. You'll find that there will be very little difference in the strength of your economy over the course of the game, largely due to the fact that the food that you give to your ally is made up by the additional feasts that you cannot perform yourself. If I had a bad start, I would back off wood, and I would be getting to mid-vein around now, maybe in another month, by colonizing these other 2 provinces. It would take only a little bit of healing and fighting with my war chef to do so. those houses. We don't want to end up housed. Squirrel is very strong. I wouldn't say that squirrel is particularly strong with more people, it's more that it allows us to build more cost-efficient stoves. At this point, I'm considering grabbing more space. It's important to have extra space in your provinces so that you can defend yourself from a possible wolf assault, which may come in this August from experienced players. The idea to defend yourself from wolf isn't so much to have the barracks ready to counter, but to have enough wood so that you can drop all the barracks at the same time. Even now, I still have enough to drop 2 barracks and train 6 troops, and I'm constantly considering how many barracks I can drop to defend myself, and if I've been scouted or not. If I had been scouted, it's likely I wouldn't go for the silo here, just to make sure I have enough wood to place down barracks. It's also the main reason we need the secondary woodcutter. While you can kind of get through this year with 1 woodcutter and building up more food, you're better off having to build wood so that you can place more barracks to defend yourself. Yep, we gotta never drop those meals. Gotta maintain them as long as we can. It takes 10 days to cook venison and ratatouille, so we try to start cooking when there's 10 days left in the meal. In general, you don't want to be quick to colonize, because the more food you hold on to, the better your economy is. You just want to colonize as much as necessary to defend yourself. George is a pick for the blessing here. George allows us to act on our own, upgrading our town hall, our scout den, and have enough iron to forge weapons all at the same time. This allows you to not gather any of the stone or iron at the start of the game. Another good choice is frayers, as we will have a lot of pop, and the amount of food and wood we consume in winter is phenomenal. However, it is greedier to grab frayers, as you will start needing to mine iron in order to forge your weapon. not going to pretend that I did the best job in preventing a wolf from attacking me this game. The land shape was a little unfortunate on that. Wolf could cut me down in the middle, but ideally you try to prevent the wolf from occupying squares where you need to place barracks to defend yourself. Most clans have their builds finished by the time they go into 802. In my opinion, the squirrels builds are a bit more powerful than other clans, but they take longer to set up. Because of that, they are a little bit vulnerable later on in this year. They're quite strong early in this year and defending themselves year 2. That is, of course, in addition to providing massive support to your ally. If you ever want to defeat a squirrel player, the best time to attack them is the end of 802. So this is a very tense year for the squirrel player normally. In this video, I went for the safer version of this strategy. To go for a greedier version of this strategy, which will result in a larger army, which I will attack with at the end of this video, you instead drop the dock. The dock is to provide enough gold so that if someone was to attack you early or during this year, you would have a better eco balance to defend yourself with. However, the gold does not add to stockpiling and as such slows down the build. We are just trying to max stockpiling out this year. Gathering 1000 food and 1000 wood is the best thing we can do for our long-term eco. Any detours of that should only be made for defensive reasons. I probably shouldn't be scouting out yellow right now, but I wanted to end this video with an attack on the yellow player with the complete economy. It's also something that you can do at this point of the game if you have a reason to believe you'll need to perform a counter attack of some kind, or if you have a wolf ally. Any number of reasons can require you to scout further. Now for our remaining laws, there's something we want and some stuff we need. It's rather difficult here, as ideally we want military strategy to improve our military to attack with the maximum force. However, there are two laws that would massively help out our economy, and those are coinage and eradication. Eradication allows us to have a decent food stockpile above 1100, but to do so we would need to mine stone. So that's one of our options. The other option is coinage, which we will need to produce a massive amount of gold in a hurry. I decided that I wanted to attack yellow next year at this point in the game, so I decided I wouldn't go for eradication, but I will be going for coinage, and you'll get to see that. The mushrooms really get to me this year. I'm upset over my ingredient balance, but there isn't much more I can do about it. It's just the unfortunate generation of the map. Having more meat means that you could occasionally do the venison with more power, and having more vegetables is almost always a good thing, but it's difficult to deal with an abundance of mushrooms, which is all that this start is giving me at this point. I'm looking around to see how much space I have. I want to be able to place trade posts, but also need to place barracks. Now I grab coinage. I can use it to trade with the giants and earn a large amount of gold over this winter. I'm thinking of colonizing the province. I don't want to cap out on food. Unfortunately, we never found a third food tile, so we can only hold 1100 food. If you can, you want to build a third silo, as essentially your food balance is whatever your number is above 1000. That's your actual food bank. Your food bank below 1000 is kind of fake, as every 100 you lose there causes your economy to deteriorate a little bit. So I'm trying to time that meal and then colonize that province before I generate too much food. This part is always difficult. You need a fair amount of practice and you still might screw it up, as often you will cap food. Be careful of your ally feasting, as I've had numbers in plus 120 of food here when your ally feasts unexpectedly. I set up my trades to the giants. Note that the economy is becoming quite strong now. With our stockpiling complete, we can easily support a decent plus 28 gold while still maintaining positive food and wood. If we were to convert all of our eco, we would generate like plus 40 gold. Notice that during the autumn here, we have a ridiculous amount of resources, and I think I even capped briefly at some point. Luckily, I remember that there is a few more provinces I can colonize to prevent myself from getting capped. Kinda regret not getting the Thor's Wrath. I didn't realize the Valkyrie was on such low hit points until just then. Perhaps it was a better choice, but this was better for defensive reasons, as it's essentially a province that enemies would have to attack before reaching anywhere else, and would give us time to place camps. Of course, it's Blizzard this year. We're going to lose all of our food stockpile. Ideally, we stockpile our food to the absolute maximum value we can reach, but we'll just have to stockpile up to 1,100, our current maximum. We still don't want to really work the food in the winter. We want to work gold, so our food bank is going to disintegrate. But we'll earn a huge amount of gold which we'll use to attack. It's kind of impressive. I was originally looking at building that house, but then I considered how my happiness would look afterwards, and I realized it wasn't the best idea. Instead, I would rather have more space for more camps. But for now, we're going to work all out the merchants that we can, and watch as our food stocks get obliterated. I got a fairly lucky phrase there. The timing on that just depends on how many how many cooks you can do, uh, what ruins are around, stuff like that. It could even be healing a bird, so it changes all the time. But having Freyas for the blizzard does help a lot. Even in winter, we're generating plus 26 gold. Fun fact that I've learned when playing this game is that the blizzard stacks additively with food generation. If you actually have a injured farmer gathering food in a blizzard, it will actually generate 0 food because of the 20% penalty from injury, 50% penalty from blizzard, and then the natural 40% penalty due to trying to farm in winter. Together, all of those malices will cause the farmer to generate 0. So we're only working gold here. Even I'm surprised that the winter works like that. I thought at least some of those malices were multiplicative instead of additive. Now that the blizzard is over, we need to turn all of our merchants into villagers as fast as we can in order to generate food. Once we have enough food, we're going to do an assault to finish off this game. course, we can't drop our meals in the meantime. Gotta keep them going at all times. Even though our meat is as low as possible during this stage of the game. Trying to just build a few different camps for military strategy. We just want one of the units that we aren't using, and as many warriors as we can. Since I'm out of space, I developed some additional land to place more camps. I've got to make sure we don't drop those meals. I'm sure I'll drop it at some point, but it's good to keep it up as much as you can. In most games, you would only need 2 to 3 stoves to maintain your brewers, but this game I needed all 3. This is because I had very little meat, and other than the 4 additional wheat that I have had from the start of the game, I haven't acquired any useful ingredients from the land, despite all these provinces I own. Alright, we've finally recovered all the food we need. So now it's time to start preparing our attack. Making sure I get the axe thrower and shield bearer first, I go to recruit the rest of my army. You don't want to convert your chefs, you want to have them up during battle. Perhaps I should have converted the merchants first, but all of the units were converted into warriors anyway, so I think I did pretty good. Since I'm going to war and I don't intend to stop until this player is dead, I'm looking forward to eating a seafood buffet, which I'll use to finish him off. with this seafood buffet up, this enemy player, with the seafood buffet up, this goat player is all but doomed. It's funny there because I realized I was going to run out of gold and I tried to convert some of my farmers into merchants, but the building I just happened to be heading to was the one that caught fire due to lack of gold. Yeah, 21 units with squirrel. It ain't bad an army. I wouldn't say it's amazing. Obviously the blizzard hurt me, and if I went the greedier version of this build, I could probably have a larger army at this point, but I think it is fairly strong for squirrel to have 21 units here, given the blizzard. With the battle complete, I start heading back to disband my army and recover food over the winter. And that's the build. Now, I made this build with 2v2s and 2v2v2v2s in mind, and also use it regularly when I'm solo squirrel. Does it work in teams of 3 and 4? Kind of. The general principles of the build applies, stockpiling having more impact than stone, etc. But when it comes to cooking for 3 people is very expensive, and the benefits of having more total resources, that is, cooking all the time, needs to be weighed against having a much cheaper army of your own. I don't regularly play 3v3 and 4v4 enough to properly map out that build, especially considering it needs to take into account the clans of your allies to decide if it's worth cooking. Could I do that in future? Maybe, but that's beyond the scope of this video. Thanks for watching.